What if I told you that they weren't the greatest, that a team would fail to do the one thing expected of them? What if I told you that the best don't always win, or maybe that your perception of best is skewed? What if I told you that when you think of a black mamba, he doesn't come to mind, but a group of kids at a church camp in Talladega do? ESPN 30 for 30 presents the team they love to hate. Just like any other youth camp opening day, it was hot and sunny and the anticipation was building, but no one knew what was about to happen.
You know, when I first saw the team come up on the board, I immediately knew that this is a winning team. I saw a bunch of winners up on the board. I thought to myself, I know I haven't had a lot of experience in the youth camps, but I knew that this could possibly be one of the greatest teams to ever come through.
So going into the week, I was really excited about my team, and I really thought we did have a good chance to win. But when you see teams like the black team that was so stacked, it kind of puts a dark light coming into the week. And when we won, I was very surprised to see the passionate desire for everybody else to beat them as much as when they got booed at the announcement of the placing.
Well, I guess my first reaction as I'm reading through the list of the black team, get about midway through and you're thinking, man, I really hope I'm on this team. It's just like, man, I guess I'm going to have to get the camp champ next year because it's not happening this year. This team's got it in the bag.
When I saw those names pop up on the screen, I thought, we got this in the bag. There's no way we could lose. I wasn't going to come in second again this year.
The atmosphere, right when the teams got chosen, it was devastating. Frankly, you think, how could I get so unlucky? And then you see real competitors get into the competition and you think, this is going to be one for the books.
From the time the teams were picked to the ride up to Chaco, the drama was brewing. The Mambas appeared to have an extra flag which stirred up questions, and a blaring speaker that turned heads around every corner.
So there's a lot of speculation about the flag and what it really meant going into camp. Did y'all know anything prior to camp starting?
I had probably about 3 or 4 flags in my car from other stuff with school. Somebody thought of the Black Mambas, and we're like, yeah, that's pretty cool, but is it going to be the one? And I said, I have a flag, a black "Don't Tread on Me" flag with a snake on it. So me and somebody sprinted to Russell and asked him if we could have 2 flags, if that was allowed. We didn't know anything about it. It wasn't rigged.
To add to that, we caught a lot of hate for having 2 flags. The first day we were there, someone actually took the flag that Harrison spent his own money with and put it in a trash can to try to take us down, put us down a little bit.
I brought the speaker for one reason. That was to win. Everyone knows when the music starts, something about it, it gets in your veins. It starts flowing. We'd walk onto the field. Other teams would hear us before they saw us. And that's when they knew the Black Mambas were here.
Russell had been hiding a toy fish named Kevin around the camp all week for extra points, and some of the Mambas spent all of their free time looking for him.
I think Kevin the Fish was a really important factor in the point system for youth camp. We searched for him so much, but we only found him twice. There was a lot of thought on if we should have kept the fish once and held him. It was really just a grind, but it came down to not really being worth that many points, and it made us second guess if we really should have been searching for Kevin that much.
So we were down a few points in the ranking, so we just had to wake up one morning about 6:30 to go look for Kevin. Looking for that fish, we wasted extra time, which could lead to nap time, but we wanted to get the win. That's just the grind we had, that's the mentality we had.
Well into the week, the dislike for the Mambas had gotten out of hand, as opposing players apparently sent hate mail in the affirmation room, and went as far as paying other teammates to say scripture for points.
It was a pretty average day at youth camp, and so I go into the room of affirmation where we each have a cubby with our name on it. I go to my cubby, I reach in there to grab a letter, and it was everything but affirmation. And it said something along the lines of, Black Mambas all die. And that just really hit me hard because That's when I realized how competitive it really was at youth camp. It's not a game. It's a lifestyle. And being a black Mamba means more than just, good athlete, smart. It means you're part of a brotherhood. You're part of a family. And I really learned that day when I received that letter. It showed me who I really was. I'm a black Mamba.
The first day of rec was defined by a controversial game of angle ball and 2 quiet wins by the Mambas.
Everyone knows that angle ball at youth camp is going to hold some controversy. But when my team, Old Navy, played the Mambas in angle ball, controversy was everywhere we looked. I must admit, they played dirty. But I must also admit, they were the better team.
Angle ball is always the most controversial rec game. And I remember losing or tying that game. It felt like a loss because we had it in the bag for most of the game, but there was a lot of calls that we didn't like and that they didn't like, and there was definitely 2 or 3 points that shouldn't have happened.
Even though we never played the Mambas in a sporting event, their presence was still felt with our team. We could just hear the teams that were playing the Mambas in the sports, just the screams of terror coming from the playing area. And whenever we would switch sporting events, like from Frisbee to Blind Newcomb or something like that, we could just see the terror in the team's eyes that have just been handled by the Mambas. I can still picture those images in my head to this day.
The second day of rec hurt the Mambas as they suffered 2 heartbreaking losses, but won their ultimate Frisbee game in dominant fashion.
I was on the purple team last year at youth camp, and we played the Mambas in wiffle ball. And some of the hate I felt from the words they said really, really upset me. So I went out there and we took it to them and we beat them, and it was the best day of my life.
I was part of the white team, and when we played the black team in dodgeball, we thought we were completely doomed. But when we won, it felt like we had won the World Series.
The Mambas hit the ground running for a mega relay and won by a landslide, but it still didn't seem to produce enough points.
Mega relay is just always the peak of rec. It's always the last day. You're really thinking it's worth a ton. We're kind of fed up with how bad we were playing, especially on day 2. After we won mega relay, which we did really well, we hustled very hard, and we looked at the point scale, the point spread, and realized that even after winning that, there's just not a lot of points given to us, even if you come in first place. And that really hurt us the most, knowing that after we won, how excited we were, and realizing that we probably still weren't in a good spot to come in first.
It was the last day of camp, and the teams that were contenders wondered who would be crowned champion. Some of the Mambas had hope, but others knew it didn't look good.
So last year I was a part of the red team on youth camp, and the red team ended up winning at the end of the week. But the way the black team performed and the anticipation and the drama involved in the week, that team truly changed the dynamic of team picking forever. Is there anything you would change going into your last year of youth camp?
I don't think I'm gonna change. I would change much, just because I think it's still great to compete as hard as you can to become camp champ. But I would say to stay humble during that, and stay close to your friends and make new ones, and also don't get too emotional when you don't get the results you want with your rec team.